Hey everybody, this week on Randy Reviews It, we talk about the only two guns that Sig Sauer makes that are worth it. The Sig P226 and the Sig P229 Legions. The double action, single action versions. Alright, so my first handgun ever, a little backstory here, was actually a Sig P226. I don't think it was the elite version, but this was back in, I want to say around 2008 was when I got my first handgun, somewhere around there. So I got it at the time, which was a deal, was like, I want to say it was like 620 or 625, something like that. So compared to today, which the gun I'm about to tell you about is roughly $1,100 now. I wish I would have held on to that original P226. However, I am definitely an optics fan, and until recently, they weren't giving optics cuts on them. Now that we have the Legion versions, we can get red dots on these things without having to send them in and getting them milled. So let's talk about the pros and the cons of this gun and walk through why I think they're the only guns that Sig makes that are worth it. So the double action trigger right out of the box, I would argue might be better than the out-of-the-box Beretta 92 trigger. So the Legion, I mean, it has like the short reset kit, I think, in it by default. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but the one I got, it has the shorter reset. It's very smooth. It's definitely lighter than the Beretta 92 out of the box. However, when you get a Beretta done up by Langdon like I have, that's a non-issue. And you know, for the price of a Langdon Beretta, you could get two Sig P226s. You could get a 226 and a 229. So you're definitely paying more for the better trigger on a lot of guns. But I think the Sig 226 has a really great trigger out of the box. The double action's great. The single action's good. They got kind of a nicer trigger shoe on them nowadays where it's a little bit flatter. Gray Guns offers external, like flatter ones even than that. So overall, the trigger's really good out of the box. The other thing that impressed me is I hadn't shot a good feeling P226 in a while. I've felt a few, but the grips they had on them, I think they were the elites. I didn't like them as much. I like kind of the standard grips. So the Legion has kind of bigger grips on it. It's got a bigger comb on the back that was nice to shoot with. And the recoil impulse is better than what I was remembering. So like everyone tries to tell you that the height over bore is a big deal. I don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. I think the Sig 226 handles recoil exceptionally well. I think it's got very good ergos. It's comfortable. The decocker's placed in a good spot. I can't think of cons for this gun other than who it's made by, how many different variants of 226s there are, and just like the like having to deal with the Sig stuff in general. I don't want to do it. But one thing that threw me that I was looking for a question on is how come I don't see more 226s in competition? Because you see Beretta 92s, those are there. You see CZ Shadows, you see CZ SP01s, you see all these different CZs, you see Berettas, but you don't see Sig P226s. I do see that like Humble Marksman did a few videos on their new single action only guns, but you're not seeing the DASA guns show up in competition the way that the Berettas do. I don't really know why that is offhand. Maybe, it's just general preference, but they both last. They're both great guns, Berettas and Sigs. The Beretta, I should say 92 series is a great gun. The Sig P22 whatever series are great guns. The only like I said, the only cons are the price. So for this gun, you're getting a metal frame gun, and it's right around the same price. It's technically more than like an M9A4. So you can get a Beretta M9A4 on the right days with a deal for like 780, 750, maybe around 800. The Sig P226, you're pretty much looking at 1,000 at the lowest, but you're probably more around that 1,100 range. So it is more expensive than the Beretta for only a little bit better trigger, whereas the Beretta, it points well. It's just nice, especially if you put an optic on them. That optic will sit a little bit lower, just the way that Berettas are made, things like that. So, do I recommend these guns, even though they're SIG? Absolutely. The P226 is really good. It's been refreshing to shoot. I've enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of the Delta Point Pro cuts on them. I've never really used Delta Point Pro until I bought the SIG. I enjoy the cut. I think it's better than RMR. However, most guns are not made like that. But with the Delta Point Pro, it opens you up to using these Vortex big dot sights that are really, really good. So I recommend those. Sig Sauer has trash optics. Don't bother. So if you're interested in a P226, whether or not you're an old school Counter-Strike player like me, whether or not you even like SIG as a company, I would say go put one in your hand and feel it. And if it feels good, try to rent it and shoot it. And then at that point, if you're not interested in a CZ or a Beretta, or maybe you own those two already, then you can get a SIG. I think the Beretta 92s and probably the CZ 75s are going to be, like, I would lean towards those being better out of the box. Or I shouldn't say out of the box, but better overall. You're going to enjoy them just a little bit more. I think the P226 comes out of the box swinging a little harder, but if you're like me and you're going to invest in your gun and maybe develop it a little bit more, for CZs, you can get Cajun Gunworks stuff. For Berettas, you can get Langdon, you can get Volker Precision, you can get Blackbeard Customs, all kinds of different things. For SIG, really, you're sending it to Gray Guns, so you can send it out there and they can do some good stuff. If you're a fan of the platform, I say get it, because I'm really enjoying shooting this one, and I'm going to keep shooting this one for a while.